Alrighty, so well, it is halftime between the Red Bulls versus New England, and I have also just paused the game between the Quakes versus Seattle, which looks like the biggest upset in MLS is about to happen. And that's all I'll leave it at there because I'll talk a little bit more about that game on Sunday. And that for all the review for the Saturday and Sunday game, I decided that I'm just going to pretty much do all of them on Sunday because tomorrow, unfortunately, I have to attend my dad's funeral. That's going to be happening tomorrow. But the good news is, at least that one is actually happening in the morning. And then once it is done, I can, of course, get back to watch these two games. And also watching the Gold Cup final between US versus Mexico, which unfortunately, it's going to be taking place in between this game between TFC versus Nashville SC, and that I always kind of wonder why in the world did MLS decide to schedule games that's going to be happening on Gold Cup final day, or at least if they schedule games that is happening on Gold Cup final days, at least schedule it before when the Gold Cup final and not actually in between them. But that being said, we do only have two games that's going to be happening tomorrow. And the first game that's going to be happening tomorrow is unfortunately going to be on national television. And it's not the good one because it's going to be on Twitter, as this game is going to be between the Union versus the Chicago Fire, which will start at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific time. But the actual kickoff is 6:06 p.m. local time. The Union, of course, currently have a record of 6-6-4, but it has been a relatively rough patch that the Union has been going through in their last 6 games, as they only won 1 out of their last 6 games and are started to slip down the Eastern Conference table because of it. While for the Chicago Fire, well, it seems like there was some hope last month when they got a couple of wins in a row, and then, yeah, it's back to reality as they lost 2-1 to Toronto in their last game, and they're now back down near the bottom of the Eastern Conference table with a record of 3-3-9. Top goal scorer for both of these teams, you got Kasper Schmeichel, unsurprisingly, is the top goal scorer for the Union with 6 goals. But then you got Corey Burke, who is definitely having a great season so far with the Union in his third stint with the club with 4 goals, followed by Sergio Santos with 3 goals. And then Jacob Glesnes actually ends up on the top goal scorer chart too with 2 goals, followed by Jameer Montero, who hasn't really been having the best season so far, but he at least is still in the top 5 goal scoring chart with 2 goals for the Union. For the Chicago Fire, you got Aliseda and Stojanovic with 3 goals to top the goal scoring chart for the Fire. Then you got Robert Beric and Sikulic with 2 goals, and then Frankowski joined a numerous list of Fire players that currently have 1 goal to this team. But yeah, this is a game that I think both teams are desperate to trying to get wins, and that both of them haven't really been in a relatively good run in these last couple of games. And coming into this, I will say the Union probably are going to be the favorites in this game because, again, the Fire, it just feels like it's back to what we saw earlier this season where they were just in a terrible run of form. Or unless if this is maybe the Chicago Fire of the old where, when they do go on a bad run, sometime out of nowhere, they just pull off a victory out of their ass. And maybe that could be the case coming into this game. And they could definitely do so because, again, the Union is a team that is really struggling in these last couple of games. But one thing they have not struggled this season is at home. And that's despite the fact that they kind of got off to a bad home start to this season. They have done much better. And I don't think they have lost a home games ever since they lost their first 2 home games to start their MLS season in terms of their home stands. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is Toronto versus Nashville SC, as Toronto currently coming into this game with 3-4-8 record, and things are starting to slowly turn around for TFC. I mean, I know they're still nowhere near in terms of being in that playoff conversation, but it's going to take time. I mean, it's with how bad of a start that they have got through, it's going to take time for them to try to rise themselves up the Eastern Conference, but they're definitely making progress. As I mentioned, their record is definitely a little bit better compared to what it was when Chris Armas, of course, got the axe. And then Nashville SC, of course, they have a record of 6-8-1, also known as the Draw Kings of MLS, because I believe they still owns the record for the most draws so far in MLS. Now, this game will start at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, but the actual kickoff will not start until 7:38 p.m. local time. TFC, of course, won 2-1 against the Chicago Fire on the road, while for Nashville SC, They've only lost once so far on the road, and that one loss that they had was against the Red Bulls a couple of weeks ago. But so far, they have been a team that, it's hard to beat Nashville SC. And it's not, this season, what's kind of interesting about Nashville is that it's not that they're hard to beat because they don't concede a lot of goals. But they're hard to kind of beat with the way that they're actually starting to find ways to score goals. And I talk about this before with this Nashville SC side. They can get the goals going and hope that their sturdy defense can hold up, which, this season, I don't think their defense is as solid as it was last season, but it's not really kind of in a way where their defense is just gone totally bad compared to last year. They're still a very good defensive team, and now add to the fact that they're able to find the ball into the back of the net, it's not surprised the fact that Nashville is having a relatively good season. But I also mentioned before how, with Nashville having so many home games to start the season, we'll see whether or not if when they do go on the road, whether this kind of form that they had at home can continue on the road, and at least so far it seems like it has kind of been the case. Now, that being said, they also have not won a single road game so far this season, and pretty much I think this is the 6th road game for Nashville, or maybe the 5th road game, and pretty much they got 4 or 5 out of their last 6 road games that have all came into a draw. And coming into this game against a TFC side that is a little bit more rejuvenated ever since Chris Armas is no longer taking charge of it, it's going to be tough for them to maybe get some points coming out of this game. But, that being said, they have shown before that they are able to do so. And overall, I think this should be a very fascinating matchup between both of these teams that, again, unfortunately, it's going to be taking place at least in the second half. I'm pretty much have to watch this game and also the Gold Cup Final, and probably maybe pay attention more to the Gold Cup Final because, that game is definitely much more important than what this game is, and the fact that that game in the Gold Cup Final, there's actually a trophy that is at stake at this, and this is of course just a regular season game. But either way, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you guys to like, smash the subscribe button. Like I said, it's a relatively quick preview because there's only 2 games for me to talk about on Sunday. But as always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games and your prediction in terms of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.